Find your voice. This is where creation begins, where sound becomes story, and ideas grow when we build them together. Step into the sound. A global community of voice actors, writers, and sound designers, learning, collaborating, and rising side by side. Feel the beat, elevate your craft, share your skills, support others. Let creativity move both ways. From live reads and workshops to original productions and festivals, this is a space to grow, experiment, and make something real. Find your voice, create with the community. Join the voice, support community.
A link to the voice support community in the show notes below.
Helldivers Radio on GNR 107, your go-to station for news on the front line.
Joe Turner as the main host, Penny with the tech update, and Bulldog on the ground with the democracy report.
Casting across the Democratic stars. This is Helldivers Radio, and this is your quarterly update, where we dive into the latest 3 months. I'm Joe Turner.
I'm Penny Lively.
Tonight, a war transformed, anti-democratic superweapons deployed, new fronts opened, new enemies revealed, and the margin for error grows thinner with every passing month. To those whom are stepping out of cryo,
This is the information you need to stay alive on the front, to understand the campaigns behind the casualty reports, and to know what High Command expects from every Helldiver now entering the fight.
speaking of the front, we go to our field correspondent, Bulldog.
Joe, Penny, we start our quarterly update with January. And if you want the simplest version, here it is. January is when the war stopped being a chain of regional offenses and became something larger. More centralized, more deliberate, more destructive.
The completion of the Democracy Space Station.
That's right. The DSS. Not just another asset, not just another piece of orbital support. A strategic symbol and a strategic weapon. Built to protect managed democracy at a scale no fleet grouping could match.
And it did not come cheap.
No, it did not. Powering the station meant securing dark fluid inputs. And that meant committing Helldivers to extraction operations on Omicron. Dense infestation, high resistance, the kind of place where the ground itself feels hostile before the first bug even breaks line of sight.
So before DSS even fired, Helldivers were already paying for it.
Exactly. Every major weapon in this war has a trail behind it. Logistics, fuel, bodies. Omicron was part of that trail.
And after extraction,
Then came the vote. Penta, Zagon Prime, Valmox. 3 worlds placed before the Helldivers. One decision to be made.
The war framed as democratic choice.
And the choice was Penta. Clear, decisive, no hesitation. That matters. Because in this war, High Command does not just deploy force. It frames force. It gives it meaning before it gives it coordinates.
and what did that choice produce?
A demonstration, a message, a warning. Penta did not merely suffer bombardment. It became proof. Proof that the DSS was not theoretical. Proof that Super Earth now possessed the means to reshape a theater in one act.
A planet turned into an example.
That's one way to put it. Another is this. Every enemy faction now understood that the war had entered a different era.
And the enemy's response?
Immediate adaptation. The minute a weapon like that appears, the entire battlefield changes around it. Not just where fleets go, but what enemies prioritize, what they steal, what they sabotage, and what they fear.
So January was not simply the month the station appeared. It was the month the entire strategic map bent around it.
Correct. Once you unveil a weapon like the DSS, you do not get to go back to the old war. The old war is over.
And that brings us to February. But before that, a break in the show.
The machines are our enemies, so we build better ones. Introducing XO51 Lumberer, XO55 Breakthrough. Become what the war demands. Get your XO Experts Warp on. Deploy now.
From orbit, they fall. Silent they strike. For honor without praise. Just the target. The mission is all. They don't march. They don't wait. They're the ghosts of the night. Introducing the ODST Warlord legendary status. The elite of the elite. The ones that knock with a breaching charge. Vanish. Submit your application to be the best. Of the best. Of the best. Now. 4 weapons, 1 doctrine. M85C cleans the room. M7S ghosts the gloom. M90A breach and boom. SOCOM seals your enemy's doom. Suit up with A9 Hell Jumpers fit, or recon threads for the shadows you fit. Speak first, passive. Cape of pride. Drop in loud or slip inside. Fort Union. Don't sleep. Fort Sanctuary won't fall. A myriad watches and the ODSTs answer the call. This is the Warlord, your dream. This is your moment to honor your younger self. Move in silence, win in violence. We don't march, we don't wait. You're the ghost of the night. Get your ODST Legendary War Bond. Some requirements may apply. 1,500 credits required before activation. Helldivers must be 18 years or older to qualify. The Ministry of Defense under no obligation to approve ODST status as further training requirements and rating may apply. Now, get out that war bond, Helldiver!
And we're back, Helldivers, and citizens alike. February saw escalations under Operation Valid Pretext.
A full-scale response to a confirmed threat. Enemy forces attempting to leverage stolen Starve peace plans into a planet killer capability.
Cyberstan became the objective.
And once Cyberstan became the objective, the campaign stopped being symbolic and became brutally practical.
Bulldog, how did the operation begin?
Phase 1. Secure a staging ground, Aurora Bay or Merrick. Establish approach lanes, build operational momentum, create a path for a heavier push.
And casualties were tied into the structure of the operation.
They were. That's what made it feel different. This wasn't a clean sequence of disconnected objectives. The losses carried forward. Every drop cost something. Every failed reinforcement mattered later.
So the opening phase was already attritional.
From the first move, we secured key worlds, gained short-term advantages, and bought enough room to continue. But nobody on the line confused momentum for safety.
Did troops understand the scale yet?
They understood enough. When you hear Cyberstan and Planet Killer in the same briefing, you know the war room isn't thinking local anymore.
And then Helldivers were given another choice.
Preserve the Democracy Space Station's support functions, or sacrifice worlds in exchange for tactical effect.
They kept the DSS support, and that tells you something important about the front. Helldivers were thinking beyond one act of destruction. They wanted endurance, sustained advantage.
A practical vote.
A survival vote.
Phase 2, Landfall.
A synchronized fleet assault intended to overwhelm Cyberstan's defenses before the enemy could consolidate.
Drophead secured, at heavy cost. And then the campaign changed shape.
The Cyborgs.
The Cyborgs. Presence confirmed, not rumor, not legacy, not history book material. Active, material, real.
So this was no longer only an automaton campaign.
Correct, and that matters. Automatons are a one-of-a-kind enemy. Industrial, methodical, relentless. Cyborgs are something else. A return, a memory made physical. Something the war had not just inherited, but reawakened.
And morale?
Mixed. Some units hardened, some rattled. But once the first drops were committed, morale became secondary to tempo.
Phase 3, the Ground War.
Megafactories were the target.
Destroy production, break the pipeline, collapse the enemy's capacity to replace losses. That was the idea.
And did it work?
Partially. We made progress, cut supply lines, destroyed targets. Advanced under pressure, but not fast enough.
What slowed the push?
Everything. Fortified resistance, casualty accumulation, operational friction. The fact that every success still had to be held, and every hold cost manpower.
Was there a turning point?
There were several. None dramatic in isolation. That's what made them dangerous. A delayed reinforcement here, a failed push there. A missed timing window. Enough of those, and momentum starts to bleed out.
So Cyberstan became a campaign of diminishing margin.
That's a good way to say it.
The enemy also attempted informational disruption.
False broadcasts, cyber interference, psychological warfare.
That happened. But let me put it plainly. On the ground, what mattered most was whether ammunition landed, whether the next wave hit on time, whether your position could still be held at dawn.
So, the false messaging mattered less to frontline survival than to strategic uncertainty.
Exactly. Confusion is useful to the enemy, but artillery is more useful. The cyber attack was noise layered on top of the attrition.
Final phase transcends.
The Cyborg capital.
We pushed hard. Harder than people realize looking back from a map. Defenses cut, approaches opened, pressure sustained. But by then the problem was simple. Time, numbers, endurance.
And we ran short on all three.
Yes.
High Command initiated the Terminal Directive.
A shift from liberation to denial.
If we couldn't take Cyberstan, then Cyberstan could not be allowed to remain useful to the enemy.
A grim conclusion.
A necessary one, from High Command's view.
And from yours?
From mine, it was the moment Operation Valid Pretext told the truth about itself. It was never just about conquest. It was about preventing a worse future.
Cyberstan liberated?
No.
Operation a failure?
No.
We crippled industry, exposed the cyborg threat, forced the enemy to reveal assets they would have preferred to keep hidden.
So the campaign failed in one sense, and succeeded in another.
Welcome to the modern war, Joe.
We return to the front. Bulldog. March appears to mark a turning point.
That's accurate. February was escalation. March was transformation. The war stopped behaving like a territorial conflict and started behaving like something less stable.
Walk us through it.
First Front, Zay Rugosia, Herthon Secundus, Ruin Sites, Space-Time Disruptions. We held Alert 3. That part mattered. The line held. The primary objective, on paper, was achieved.
But
the real mission failed. We didn't secure the rare samples in the necessary quantities, and that left science with partial understanding.
So Command knows there is a threat, but not what shape it fully takes.
Correct. And partial understanding is dangerous. The Illuminate are not just rebuilding infrastructure. They are altering conditions. Pressure signatures, astral anomalies, instability patterns that do not behave like conventional atmospheric or gravitational events.
High Command believes they were attempting a second singularity.
That's the concern. Not a localized strike, not a standard superweapon, a system-level event.
Meaning this is no longer about a city, a facility, or a sector.
Exactly. If this spreads, you're looking at worlds becoming unstable by category, not just by occupancy.
And every ruin site is now suspect.
Every one of them. Second Front, Copesa 4, Carball 7, Mega Factory operations. We liberated the planets. That part happened. Targets were hit, infrastructure degraded.
But the kill count was missed.
By a lot, which means the front remains alive.
What made this more serious than a missed tally?
Forensics. We confirmed something ugly. The cyborgs are still using organic tissue in augmentation and production pathways. They are not just building machines, they are building hybrids.
And their mega factories remain essential.
More than essential. Those factories are survival infrastructure, their reproduction pathway, their future.
We also saw success at Achernar Secundus.
Correct. Defense hub restored. Good news, and real news. It stabilized a key portion of the line.
And Zephyr.
Held, but I'd call that temporary stability, not resolution. Third Front. Cease, Hort, and the thing everybody's trying to talk around.
The Void.
The Void. Operations on Cease succeeded only in halting, not destroying. The Illuminate still held the world, and by then, the world itself had started to change.
The exospires.
Right. Massive structures. Climate distortion, gravity fluctuations, atmospheric failure, the kind of environmental breakdown that makes a battlefield feel less like terrain and more like a wound.
Super destroyers engaged.
They did. The structure still stood.
And Hort?
Hort was contained. Important distinction. Contained, not cleansed. Objects recovered from the void did not remain intact. They broke down almost immediately, which suggests the void is not empty space, and not simply an environmental phenomenon.
The mindless masses.
That's what they're being called. Former Illuminate, or what remains of them, deployed toward Rear Gabe.
So the Void is now military reality.
Yes, no longer theory, no longer weird battlefield rumor, a military reality.
High Command responded.
All ruin sites now monitored. Exospires classified as active threats, regardless of temporary suppression. The Void recognized as weaponized.
And the Cyborg front remains active.
Yes. Destroy the remaining mega factories, or expect escalation.
Summarize March.
March changed the nature of the war. We're still fighting over planets, but we're also fighting over conditions. Stability, continuity, the rules that make a battlefield behave like a battlefield.
That leaves little margin.
There isn't one.
April operations are now underway across multiple sectors. Bulldog. Reports suggest simultaneous pressure on every front.
That's right. April isn't a single campaign. It's a stress test. Command is being forced to answer multiple strategic questions at once.
Let's start with the most immediate threat.
Ursa Sector. Simultaneous terminid strain assaults. Rupture strains, predator strains, multiple attacks hitting at once.
Civilian exposure?
High, immediate. The kind of situation where every delay gets measured in evacuation failures and body counts.
And the response was overwhelming.
1 billion terminids killed. Orbital napalm barrage authorized fleet-wide for 24 hours. That kind of authorization tells you the urgency.
The sector held.
It did.
But there were reports of synchronized behavior.
There were. Coordinated movement, shared timing, pressure arriving in a way that looked deliberate.
Officially denied.
Officially described as coincidence, yes.
And your view?
My view is that field reports exist for a reason. Second operation, strategic opportunity, SO Prime.
Research effort tied directly to the void.
Correct. If March taught Command anything, it's that ignorance is now its own operational hazard. So Helldivers were tasked with repeated successful missions to give research teams time and cover to gather data at Illuminate ruin sites.
2 million successful extractions.
That's sustained effort, not symbolic effort.
And the result.
Success. Intel secured. Passed to the Ministry of Science. We still do not understand the void, but we understand more than we did.
And in this phase of the war, that matters.
It matters a lot. Third front. Cyborg expansion concerns. Main intel operations centered on Marfark.
The objective being future megafactory targets.
Exactly. Figure out where the next industrial spread is headed before it starts.
And that objective failed.
Yes. We did not secure the full intelligence picture, which means nearby citizens, sectors, and worlds are now dealing with uncertainty as much as threat.
But defense held elsewhere.
Correct. Copesa 4 held. Virilia 5 held. Defensive response that was effective. That's the split result of April. Tactical success, strategic blindness.
And while all that was happening, Command launched a separate terminid research effort.
Omicron again. Hive world. 15 million common samples ordered.
For development of Termicide 2.0.
That's right. A deterrent. A controlled answer to a reoccurring problem.
The language from Command emphasized limiting unintended genome modification.
Which tells you they learned from prior consequences.
And the operation.
Successful. Samples secured. Research underway. Final front for April. Illuminate abductions.
Fast-moving raids against Federation citizens.
Appropriator squads. Civilian snatch operations. Highly targeted. Not random terror. Collection.
And the purpose is still unknown.
Officially unconfirmed. Which usually means Command knows it matters. But doesn't know enough yet to say how.
Response?
Defensive orders across multiple affected systems. Orbital Gatling barrage authorized fleet-wide for 48 hours. That gives units more rapid response bite. But it doesn't answer the larger question.
Which is why they're talking people.
Exactly.
Response.
Ongoing.
In current status.
April is pressure.
Penny, before we close, put this quarter into broader context.
The broader context is that the Galactic War is no longer a straightforward sequence of offenses and defenses. Major orders continue to function as the central mechanism by which High Command directs the global war effort. while individual Helldivers continue to operate under smaller personal directives for medals, readiness, and discipline. But the front itself has become less predictable.
And the battlefield variety has expanded with it.
Yes, Helldivers are not fighting in one operational environment. Biomes and environmental conditions change the terms of survival from world to world. And the practical difference between a rain-soaked plain, an iron storm zone, a fire tornado wasteland, or a frozen artillery front can determine what stratagems, weapons, and armor keep a squad alive. It is doctrine.
Which means loadout is no longer preference.
And if the wrong doctrine lands on the wrong world, you don't get a second briefing. You get a casualty report.
From the activation of the Democracy space station, to the campaigns over Cyberstan, to the singularity fears of March, to the fractured pressure of April, one truth remains. The war is not simplifying.
It is expanding in scope, in method, in consequence.
And if you're deploying now, you're not entering the same war Helldivers entered at the start of the year. You're entering something harder, faster, less stable, and less forgiving.
This is Joe Turner.
Penny Lively.
And Bulldog.
For
Super
Super
Earth.
As the stars align and duty calls GNR 107 signs off.
This was a PV production. The paid actors were Ashley Peavyhouse, playing Penny Lively, Devin Keister, playing Bulldog, and Grant Peavyhouse, playing Joe Turner, with additional credits of writer, producer. Thanks for listening. All audio under this production is copywritten or under licensing.
Through the void, our voices ring, carrying tales of battles and the hope they bring. Helldivers stand unwavering and true, guided by the light of Super Earth's hue.
Echoes of liberty resound through space. In every heartbeat, we find our place. Though the broadcast ends, our resolve ignites, marching onward through endless night.
From the ashes of conflict, unity is born. In every challenge, our courage is sworn. The signal fades, but memories remain, fueling our journey across the cosmic plane. Echoes of liberty, our eternal song. In the silence, we find where we belong. GNR 107, your voice may cease, but in our actions, we find peace.
This is GNR 107. Signing off. Remember, Helldivers, the fight for managed democracy never ends. Stay vigilant.